Men's face the Jayhawks on senior day.
Women's basketball seeks revenge against the Baylor Bears.
And Texas baseball gets swept for the first time this year.
All this and much more coming up next on College Press Box.
Good evening from the 40 acres. You're watching College Press Box, the home of Longhorn sports. I'm Jordan Sanchez, and along with me is Mark Estamuerto Skol. Mark, how you doing tonight?
I'll tell you what, Jordan, if I was doing any better, it wouldn't be fair to everybody else.
Sounds good. Well, it's always great to throw some football talk into the show. Now, Mark, spring football started today, and Texas fans are already looking forward to September 3rd when Notre Dame comes down to Austin. With that being said, what position battle is most intriguing to you this spring?
For me, the most intriguing position battle has to be the quarterback position. It all starts with the quarterback, and we've seen Tyrone, we've seen Gerard Hurd, maybe true freshman Shane Buechele gets a shot at the starting quarterback gig. I don't know, but it's definitely exciting here on the 40 acres.
Yeah, that'll definitely be the answer, or the question this spring and following the offseason is who will be Texas' starting quarterback. Moving on to hoops, after downing the Sooners, Texas looked to notch their 5th win of the season over an AP top 10 opponent and their first win against the number 1 ranked team. Let's head on down to the Irwin Center for the highlights. Javon Felix and Shaka Smart sharing a moment here as Texas celebrated their senior day. Perry Ellis would make his presence known early as he hits a mid-range jumper for 2. 2 trips later, Kansas is up 4-0 as Ellis comes and sets a screen for Frank Mason III, who pulls up and wets the 3. Kansas up 7-0. After a 15-0 run to start the game, Texas finally answers as Javon Felix hits the one-handed runner to give the Horns their first bucket of the game. Later in the half, Mason drives to the hoop and throws the alley-oop to Landon Lucas, who slams it down. Texas up 24-9. Colt McCoy and company in disbelief as Texas trailed 47-23 at half. After an eBay turnover, the Jayhawks would continue to roll as Mason would rumble down the court, and he finds Jamari Traylor running pipe, who slams it down. Kansas wins 86-56. Texas is now 0-10 when facing number 1 ranked opponents. Our own Mark Skol was at the game as he's got a package for you.
It was supposed to be a night to remember for the Longhorns, 6 seniors who were recognized before playing in their last home game at the Frank Irwin Center. But after the tip-off, it quickly became a night to forget.
We didn't come out and go out tonight. Just plain and simple.
Our team tonight bore no resemblance to the way that we've been when we've played at a high level. And I'm not just talking about defense, I'm just talking about everything all around.
The Longhorns' 30-point loss to the Jayhawks might have been a blessing in disguise. While the team is currently bummed out at the moment, the loss serves as a wake-up call for the team moving forward that they have a lot of work to do if they want to make a long run in the tournament.
Most important thing is to not dwell on it and realize it's not the end of the season. All the goals and stuff we've set for us is still available to us, and that's what's most important to us, is focusing on that.
It's interesting, some people are motivated by success, some people are motivated by failure, and the special players, teams, people are able to find motivation in anything. So there's no question we should be highly motivated, but it's hard to be motivated and bummed out at the same time. You gotta kind of get past that and realize that there's no one's gonna feel sorry for you as a team or as a player or as a coach. You gotta focus on what are the things that we can do better. Pretty soon here, if you're not that, then you get sent home.
Mark Skol Jr., College Press Box.
After the 30-point loss to Kansas, Texas looked to get back on track against Oklahoma State on Friday. Let's head to Stillwater for the highlights. DeMarcus Holland and the Longhorns take on the unranked Oklahoma State Cowboys in Stillwater. Early on, Tyree Griffin sees Connor Lambert sleeping on the backside and hits Jeff Newberry for the alley-oop. Senior guard DeMarcus Holland has been playing very well lately, and the trend continued against Oklahoma State as Holland splits the defense and gets to the bucket for the and one. With 7 seconds left to go in the half, Leighton Hammonds gets the lucky roll on the mid-range jumper to tie the game up at 29. Second half now, Texas with some good ball movement early on as freshman Kerwin Roach knocks down the three from the left wing. Griffin back at it again as he picks the defense apart from the top of the key and gets to the basket for the acrobatic layup. Prince Ebay was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year for a reason. Sends this shot flying, which leads to a fast break layup from DeMarcus Holland to Isaiah Taylor. And Ebay, he's having a block party tonight, and everybody is invited. Look at this block right here by Prince Ebay. Bam! Get that out of here. Kerwin Roach hits yet another three on this next possession with 1 second left on the shot clock, and he leads Texas with 15 points on the night for the victory, 62-50.
Men's basketball analyst Caden Kinard joins us in the studio. Caden, how you doing, my man?
You know, I'm doing well. Maybe not as well as Mark, but pretty good.
5 players from the Texas men's basketball received all Big 12 nominations. Anything shocking here?
The one that sticks out is Prince Ebay, who won Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12, and he averages over 22 minutes a game, which isn't that much. You'd think a Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year would see the court a little bit more, but him winning the award says 2 things. One, winning just speaks volume to his impact on the floor in such a short time. He blocked shots at the 8th best rate in the nation, and also all the other shots that shots and decisions he altered just by around the rim. I kind of wish we saw him and Miles Turner a little bit more last year, but that's revisionist history. Either way, Ebay's going to get a shot in the NBA just because of his skill on the defensive end. But the other thing that him winning the award that says is there wasn't a clear-cut two-way solid offensive player and defensive stud in the Big 12. Players, they need to be more well-rounded in today's game, and if there is a skill set lacking, players just don't see the court that much.
Yeah, with the win on Friday night over Oklahoma State, Texas finished 11-7 in conference play. Out of those 7 losses, 2 of them came against Texas Tech and TCU. How vital, if any, do you think those losses are?
Texas has to be kicking itself on the early season losses to TCU and Texas Tech. Winning either of those games places Texas on the opposite side from Kansas in the bracket. Now, say Texas wins its first game. The second round, they play the Jayhawks from Kansas, the absolute favorites to win the tournament. 3 of the 4 halves between the 2 teams this year, the Longhorns haven't played like a team worthy of sharing the court, just simply outclassed. And the Jayhawks, they finished the regular season with 14 top 50 RPI wins. And the only thing you need to know about that is no other school in the nation currently has more than 12 in the school with 10, or has more than 10 in the school with 10, Oregon. Oregon has 4 losses outside of the top 25 the RPI, whereas Kansas only has 1. And compared to the Big 12, you have Oklahoma, who is 6-6 against top 25 in the RPI. West Virginia, 5-6. Texas, 6-6. Baylor, a shocking 3-10. Kansas just never fails to show up in big games. And like always in the Big 12 basketball, is in a class of itself, and they're going to win this tournament.
Now, what do you think, Mark? Do you think those losses will come back and haunt Shaka Smart's crew?
They could, and I think a lot of people could make those losses come back and make them haunt them, but I don't think so, just because if you look at this Texas team, 4 top 10 wins, most in the nation, so that's clearly the main factor going into this, going into why Texas is ranked so high, ranked number 23rd in the nation right now. Right. Those losses were without Cam Ridley, right when Cam Ridley got hurt too, which is like when Shaka Smart had to adjust, and he's adjusted now, and we've seen Texas have success now, so I don't think those losses mean too much.
Yeah. Texas gained a first-round bye heading into the Big 12 tournament, and they'll play Baylor on Thursday in the quarterfinals. Caden, what do the Horns need to do to beat Baylor?
So they've played twice this year. In the first matchup between the two, Texas won 67-59 in Waco. But in the second matchup, Baylor just demolished Texas 78-64. When the score was closer than the style of play in that game, they just completely washed Texas. So what changed between the 2 games? In Baylor, they pride themselves on a 1-3-1 zone, which mainly attempts to force teams to beat them from the perimeter. Then Texas, when they played well in that first game, they placed Kerwin Roach and Isaiah Taylor, one in one corner of the baseline, the other in the other corner of the baseline. And Taylor just did a phenomenal job of gathering the pass, attacking the paint, and getting in the middle, making Baylor collapse, and then kicked out to open shooters like Connor Lambert, 5 of 7 from three-pointers in the first game. But in the second game, same strategy, but Baylor kept Texas on the perimeter. Taylor and Roach couldn't attack the middle of the zone. Therefore, never collapse, never any space for open looks. So, as a real indicator for who's going to win this game, it's going to come down to points in the paint. Also, because Baylor just really has a lot of strong interior play.
What do you think, Mark? Do you think the Horns can figure out that 1-3-1?
I personally think they can, but what they need to do is just come out aggressive. We saw against Kansas, against Baylor. Those were the two games they got blown out. The only two games they got blown out this season, it was because they didn't come out with aggression. So if they come out with that aggressiveness early on, I still think Texas is able to get this win against Baylor. I wouldn't say it's a must-win, but it's a game that they definitely would like to have slated in the W column here going forward.
Well, Caden, thanks for giving us the latest on Texas basketball tonight.
Hey, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So coming up, we're taking a look at how the women's basketball team concluded their regular season and at the current ruckus they're causing in Oklahoma City. You're watching College Press Box.
Thank you for choosing College Press Box on your Monday night. We are happy to have you with us. Last week, the women's basketball team traveled to Waco to take on the number 4 ranked Baylor Bears. Sophomore Brooke McCarty led the Longhorns' struggling offense with 12 points on 5 of 14 shooting from the field. Senior center Imani Boyette also added 8 points and 8 rebounds, but Texas shot only 29% from the field, including 1 of 9 from beyond the arc. McCarty knocked down the team's only 3 of the night at the 3:58 mark in the fourth quarter. On the other hand, Baylor was on fire. The Bears shot 52.8% from the field and were led by sophomore guard Christy Wallace's 23 points off the bench. Texas dropped the game 74-48.
Texas women's basketball team opened up their play of the Big 12 tournament on Saturday. The second-seeded Horns defeated Kansas in their opening game by a score of 66-50, then faced West Virginia yesterday in the semifinals. The Longhorns handed the Mountaineers a 67-51 defeat and now find themselves playing in the championship game tonight against the Baylor Bears. This is the 5th time Texas has made it to the championship game, with the 02-03 season being the last time the banner came home to the Irwin Center.
Joining us today in studio is women's basketball analyst Amanda Atwell. Amanda, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Mark.
Well, Amanda, so Texas is playing Baylor for the 3rd time tonight in the Big 12 championship. In the first 2 games against Baylor this season, Texas lost both by over 20 points. Could the 3rd time be the charm for Texas?
I mean, that's hard to say. Baylor beat Oklahoma defiantly in the Big 12 semifinals. Texas hasn't really been putting up their best foot forward against Baylor this season, losing in Austin and in Waco. They didn't seem like they really stood a chance in either game. They lost both by 20 points. If they can get Imani Boyette back on her game, they have a much better chance. Baylor is one of the few teams that can really compete and beat Texas in the paint thanks to their height. Boyette isn't playing her best basketball, it could be another double-digit loss for Texas, in my opinion. That being said, Texas is deep, and so is Baylor. I think it'll come down to who's playing more cohesively and with higher aggression. This is really Baylor's game to lose, though. They have the momentum right now, and it'll take a spectacular game by Texas to beat them.
Jordan, does Texas have a chance to kind of delay this momentum for Baylor and get the win tonight against Baylor?
I think it's going to depend on if their defense shows up. You know, Imani Boyette went and said in a press conference that her offense is driven by her defense. So if they can get that defensive momentum going, their offense might catch fire.
I certainly think it can, and it's been an amazing season so far for the women's basketball team, and the team has certainly received recognition as 5 players received all Big 12 honors. What do these honors say about the team and their season overall? Amanda, let's start with you.
I mean, you expect to see a handful of awards from this squad. All 13 available players have seen the court in the last 6 games. That's how you know a team is stacked. Karen Aston isn't afraid to switch things up if the flow isn't there. No surprise with Imani Boyette being co-defensive player of the year. 6'7", she's been a staple blocking shots, 2nd of all time for Texas, and 1st right now in the Big 12. And she's 6th in career rebounding, so defense is really there. Her last few games haven't been outstanding. It's just been average for her, but overall, she deserves this. She joined Brooke McCarty on the All-Big 12 first team. Ariel Atkins took 2nd team honors. My biggest surprise was that there wasn't more of this team on the 2nd team. So 2nd best team in the Big 12, but it is what it is.
And Jordan, what honor stands out to you the most of all these women's basketball teams?
Well, I don't think there's one that really stands out to me, but I think it's really impressive that Texas has 5 players that have been named to the honors. that just shows that there's not one giant standout here in Austin, but a whole team, whole squad that really shows up.
Yeah, they definitely have had a really good season. Last year they were in the Sweet 16, but now Amanda, last year Texas was able to make that Sweet 16 run when they were considered the underdog. Now Texas is considered one of the top dogs in the dance. How far do you think they can go in the tournament?
I'm thinking a first-round game has a strong chance of being in Frank Irwin. With that giving Texas a nice home court advantage, I don't see them having a problem in that first round. With their depth, I can definitely see them making it decently far in this tournament. This is arguably the best the team has been since 03 and 04. I see them making it to the Sweet 16 no problem and having a huge opportunity to make it to the Final Four. For me, though, they need to prove they can knock down a team like Baylor before I see them going all the way.
Now, Jordan, Amanda's a little bit optimistic. Do you have that same optimism for Texas?
I think it's going to I'll know after they play Baylor tonight, but I definitely see them making at least into the Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four. We'll see how they fare up against the Bears.
Well, Amanda, it's a pleasure as always. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Now, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to discuss how the Texas baseball team fared this weekend against Cal. This is College Press Box. Welcome back to College Press Box. Thanks for sticking with us on your Monday night. The Texas baseball team drove to San Marcos on Tuesday night for the battle for I-35 and stayed a little bit longer than planned. With 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th, Texas State catcher Ryan Newman hammered a pitch by junior Casey Clemens over the right field wall to tie the score at 4. The Longhorns were unable to score in the 9th, and it looked like Texas was destined to lose another extra inning game. However, that wasn't the case. Texas bats awoke in the 11th inning, pulling 6 runs on the board to give the Longhorns a 10-4 victory.
Following the Texas State game, Texas opened up their 4-game series against Cal on Thursday night. Nolan Kingham made his second start of the season. The freshman lasted 4 innings and gave up 2 runs on 8 hits as Texas dropped the series opener by a score of 4-1.
Texas sought out revenge against the Golden Bears on Friday night. Let's head to the dish for Game 2 of 4 in the Longhorn series against Cal. Texas takes on Cal in a pitching matchup between Longhorns ace Kyle Johnson and one of the best pitchers in the nation, Dalton Jeffries. And it was all Cal early on. Up 2 on the bottom of the 6th, Robbie Tennerwood singled up the middle, scoring Jeffrey Mitchell Jr. But as they say in the Sandlot, pickle! Brian Selsey tries to get an extra base, but a heads-up play from Zane Gerwitz in center creates the rundown, and Joe Baker finishes the play off. Now in the same inning on what should have been a routine grounder to short, ends up being a throwing error on Brett Boswell as Casey Clemens is unable to corral the ball. Cal would score a run on the play to go up 4-0. Boswell would quickly avenge his throwing error after hitting a ground rule double deep down the left field line. Texas put their rally caps on the bottom of the 8th as Tres Pereira came through with his first extra base hit of the season, a double to deep left center to score Joe Baker all the way from first and pull Texas to within only 1 run. And with 2 outs and 2 on in the bottom of the 9th, Brett Boswell had a chance to tie the ball game, but is sent down swinging. Cal wins Game 2 of the 4-game set, 4-3. And I was fortunate enough to be at Disch-Falk Field on Friday for the Longhorns' 4-3 loss to Cal. Here's my story.
The Texas Longhorns were forced to put on their rally caps late in Friday's game against Cal, and even with an impressive 3-run rally, Texas came up 1 run short.
I'm proud of the rally. I think that they competed very well against very good pitching, and I thought it was a significantly better game than last night, and maybe our best quality game of the entire season against that level of pitching.
Mood definitely is.
Where?
I mean, we're a little down right now, but I mean, I'm not worried about it. We actually played a really good game tonight. A couple of mistakes out in the field, but I mean, honestly, we were right there with him the whole time, facing a really good pitcher, one of the best in the country, and we had some good at bats. But definitely, we're a little down, but we'll come out next game and be all right.
While Texas came out flat against Cal, Coach Augie Garrido said that there are too many positives to take away from the game despite the negative outcome.
There are so many things to be excited about, and the loss has a tendency to erase all the good things that happen. But I'm not going to let it go there. It's my responsibility to make sure they see those positives. I'm the one that has to take the eraser and go, we lost, let's get it off the board, and replace it with the truth about all the positives that were brought into the game tonight.
Definitely, you always want the result, but Boggy preaches stay in the process. Just stay with it. Things going your way. Just keep grinding, and it will turn out all right.
Mark Skol Jr., College Press Box.
On Saturday, Texas was shut out 6-0. The Longhorns looked to rebound on Sunday in their fourth and final game against the Golden Bears. With bats firing, Texas found themselves with a 7-0 lead heading into the 8th inning. However, the floodgate broke on the Longhorns' defense as they gave up 10 straight runs. Texas fell to Cal in 11 innings by a final of 10-7. Now, Mark, with Texas getting swept by Cal, they are now 5-7 for the season. Do you think this team will improve, or do you think this is the play that we're going to see all season long?
The thing about Augie Garrido is he knows how to win, and they'll definitely improve. They were playing a really good team in Cal this week, and they faced one of the best pitchers in the nation, Dalton Jeffries, and had a really good game against him. So I think Texas is just in a bad string of games right now, but I think they'll get right back on track.
Yeah, I think so too. Look at last year, Big 12, made the tournament, every shot, winning it all. Coming up, we'll take a look at what this week offers for Longhorn sports. You're watching College Press Box. Welcome back to College Press Box. Texas softball traveled down I-35 on Wednesday as they faced the Bobcats of San Marcos. With the second largest attendance at Bobcat Stadium, the Longhorns fell to Texas State by a score of 9-5. Despite the loss, freshman Reagan Hathaway continued to lead the Longhorns offensively. Seeing the plate 3 times, Hathaway finished the game with 2 RBIs, a double, and a single.
The women's swimming and diving team had a fantastic weekend at the NCAA Championship qualifiers. 10 individual swimmers qualifiers will represent Texas at the NCAA Championship set for March 16th through the 19th in Atlanta. Additionally, Texas has qualified for all 5 relays in the competition at the national meet. The star of the meet was junior Madison Cox. Cox will make her 3rd straight consecutive NCAA Championships appearance as she holds the nation's number 3 seed in the 200-yard individual medley, the number 4 seed in the 400 individual medley, and the number 11th seed in the 200-meter breaststroke.
Men's tennis was in Corpus Christi this weekend as they competed in the HEB Tournament of Champions. Texas shut out UTSA and Louisiana on Friday night and advanced to the finals on Saturday. In the championship game, Texas continued their dominant reign as they shut out Southern Mississippi.
The women's tennis team created a racket on the court this weekend. Texas won the doubles point and preserved 3 hard-fought singles wins as the Longhorns toppled number 4 ranked Michigan by a 4-3 count Saturday afternoon. Saturday's win marked the first top 5 win for the Longhorns since January 21st, 2012, when Texas knocked off the number 4 ranked North Carolina Tar Heels. 2-time All-America senior Brianna Addison teamed with sophomore Danny Waglin to defeat Michigan's Ronit Yervosky and Kate Vahe at first doubles, 6-3. Michigan responded with a win at second doubles, leaving the outcome of the doubles point on the match at third doubles. Texas resumes dual match play on March 10th when it hosts Pennsylvania. Now let's check out what happened this week what's happening this week in Longhorn sports. Women's basketball right now is taking on Baylor in the Big 12 championship game. You can catch that on Fox Sports 1. Women's golf is playing at the UNF Collegiate and through Wednesday night, and men's golf will be playing at the Highlands Collegiate Masters in Las Vegas.
Tuesday, softball will play UTSA at 4:30 p.m. That'll be aired on Longhorn Network. Baseball versus Sam Houston State will also be aired on Longhorn Network at 7 p.m. On Wednesday, softball will continue playing against North Texas, 6 p.m. on Longhorn Network. And Thursday, men's basketball will play Baylor at 11:30 a.m. Women's tennis will play Pennsylvania on 2 p.m. on Friday.
Softball will play Sanford at 3:30 p.m. in Arlington on Friday. Men's basketball potential semifinal game at 6 p.m. on Friday. And then baseball will play at UCLA at 8 p.m. on Friday. Saturday, we got softball at Arizona, still in Arlington. Baseball still at UCLA. That time is at 4 p.m. And if the Longhorns are fortunate enough, they will be in the Big 12 championship game that Saturday night. And of course, on Sunday, we wrap up with some baseball at UCLA at 2 p.m. and men's tennis in San Diego at 12 p.m. Now, And before we go, Jordan, today Texas basketball center Cam Ridley tweeted, "I'm balling like it's March Madness." Shaka Smart said today at his media session that they're upping Ridley's practice time and he could possibly make an appearance, if not in the Big 12 tournament, but in the big dance. If Ridley was to return, what kind of impact would he have on this team?
Well, I think we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if he can keep up with good tempo. You know, coming off of this injury, he's going to have to adjust to it. I think they should kind of rest him, though, for the Big 12 tournament. No need to rush him in. Kind of let him practice with the team maybe, but get him ready for March Madness.
I definitely think he could provide a very good offensive role in the paint because we haven't really seen that from Prince Ebay or Shaq Claire. So to have him back in the paint would be really good for this Texas Longhorns team.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a spring break coming up. You got any big plans? Or?
Well, I'm going to be going to Denver, Colorado to go skiing for the first time in I don't know how many years. So we'll see how that goes, but it should be fun. What about you?
I'm going to actually I'll be in Kansas City for the Big 12
Oh,
tournament.
nice.
So, yeah,
very
we'll
nice.
see how that goes. But tell Peyton I said hello if you see him.
I will for sure, definitely.
Well, that does it for tonight's episode of College Press Box. Thanks for tuning in. You can catch us here Monday nights at 9:30 p.m. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at College Press Box to get the latest updates on all Longhorn sports. Also, for some of the best sports debates on the 40 acres, be sure to catch our sister show, College Crossfire, which airs Wednesdays at 9 p.m. From all of us in Master Control, the studio, Mark, and myself, we'd like to thank you for watching the best student sports show on the 40 acres. Have a great night.
And if they trying to doubt the South, that's fine. We riding dirty at the